just when we thought the Steelers may get through a training camp without drama, Aaron Rodgers has been on his P's and Q's. He's been fitting in. He's been slinging the ball. He's been doing interviews. He's been loving his time as a Pittsburgh Steeler. TJ Watt got his new deal, got his money. We've debated that in the past. They weren't going to do the full-on rebuild. They made moves to win now, bring in Rodgers for a year, trading Minka, who they weren't going to give big money to, for Jalen Ramsey, also getting a solid tight end in Jonnu Smith. And questions remain on how good this team actually will be. I do think this team is better just based on having a better quarterback than in recent seasons and has a better chance to win a playoff game. It may not happen, but has a better chance to win a playoff game. The first since 2016, as insane as that is, this year than in recent years. But that's not what we're going to talk about here on this particular episode of Mic Drop, made possible by the Believe Network and available everywhere you get your podcasts, including SiriusXM. I am Mike Asti, as always, and just when the Steelers thought maybe they could have a training camp without drama, a preseason without drama, Aaron Rodgers doesn't provide it. TJ Watt doesn't provide it. George Pickens is gone. He's in Dallas. The newcomer DK Metcalf, you would normally maybe look at a wide receiver. He doesn't provide it. He's not like that. He's more of a humble guy. Nobody else who you would expect provides it. But the man who you would least expect offers it to the fans, the franchise, his teammates, nonetheless. Cam Heyward. Cam Heyward has been the pillar of the Pittsburgh Steelers the last decade plus. He's been a great player. He's been that steady force during a period that has experienced a lot of drama, a roller coaster ride. This is part of why Tomlin's polarizing. During Cam Heyward's tenure, the Steelers overachieved at times, maybe the Mason Duck year. They also underachieved a lot, which is why fans are kind of frustrated with Tomlin, of course. The Triple Bs didn't do enough in the playoffs. That was early Cam Heyward. Cam Heyward got there right after they went to Super Bowl, and he's not been able to get back. He doesn't have that ring to solidify his career, despite being a great player. Definitely going to be a Steelers Ring of Honor player someday, going to be in any Steelers Hall of Fame, and very likely he'll have a shot at Canton and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Whether the team wins or not with him, he'll have a shot. Absolutely. One of the better defensive linemen, one of the most consistent through that period of time. He's 37 years old now, though. He's at the end. He's near the end. We can start talking Hall of Fame soon because it's not going to be that much longer for Cam Heyward. You wouldn't imagine, you wouldn't figure that he's going to play another 4 or 5 years, another 3 years. That would be very hard to believe, right? He's going to be a 40-year-old defensive lineman? Hard to imagine. Aaron Rodgers doing it at 41. Some Hall of Fame legendary quarterbacks have done it at 40 plus. Not many of them, but defensive linemen, we're talking about a different ball of wax here. It's just very unlikely. Very unlikely. There were conversations about him retiring a couple years ago. He's still around, though. And 11 months ago, he agreed to a new contract to get him more years that maybe could get him near 40. Granted, again, it's hard for me to believe he's going to play that long. He's doing things outside of football with his own podcast. He's set financially, of course. And I understand that's not what this is about, but he's set for life, him and his family. He's a family man and a guy in the community. I don't think he's just going to want to drive his body to the ground and make it so he can't play catch with his kids. I don't see Cam Heyward as that guy, although I didn't see Cam Heyward as a guy who would do this either right now. Again, Mic Drop here on Believe and SiriusXM, also available everywhere you get your podcasts. And I've almost been directed to do this by some friends and colleagues. You know, it's been a bit since I did a show like this. Usually like to have shows with guests. Usually like to let you have somebody else offer their opinions. Maybe you like the guests more than me. That's fine. You're still listening. And that's true here for Mic Drop or any other show that I host or am a part of. Even have a new college football conversation with Bill Bender of the Sporting News. A lot of Bill Bender on that show. But this one's going to be me ranting. No guest. This is just it. There's no one I'm going to be popping on, whether you're watching this on the video show or audio. You're not going to hear another voice. Maybe some background music. That's it. And that's because this is going to be a legit mic drop. And a mic drop that is the title of the show, the point of the show, when I need to lay the hammer on a topic and really maybe rant. And that's what I'm going to do here. So if you don't want to hear me rant, okay, appreciate you listening to this point. You're welcome to turn it off. That may happen. I get it. No one's for everyone, but I had to let this loose nonetheless. And maybe you'll stick with me because maybe you agree with what I'm saying, okay? Like me or not. And Cam Heyward's much more popular in Pittsburgh than me. Of course, he's more popular than most. But the way he's acting right now, is this what you thought he would be doing right now? Is this who you thought Cam Heyward was? Friend and colleague Josh Yohe covers the Penguins for The Athletic. He even brought that up, a tweet recently. You wouldn't figure this from Cam Heyward. And I get it too, and here's where I'm going to get into the rant. So I get Cam Heyward's perspective that he is not nearly paid to market value for his production, at least off of last year, where he kind of turned the clock back, played the games he needs to play for the deal, was productive. The team is certainly better with him on the field than not. There's a big difference when he's there and when he's not. His presence extends beyond statistics as well. And he's a leader in the locker room, off the field. He's what you want in a guy you're going to pay. Granted, you wish he was younger. But last year, he was a productive player, to say the very least. Okay, he certainly turned back the clock, got back to what you want out of Cam Heyward. Prior to that, he was dealing with some injury-plagued seasons, coming off an injury-plagued year prior to signing that deal last year that now he wants ripped up. But Cam Heyward agreed to a new deal 11 months ago, a deal that at the time was great money and great for his position and, was setting records and doing everything he wanted out of a contract. As the NFL goes, as the soap opera machine of the NFL goes, and a lot of the soap opera machine revolves around contracts, of course, because in the NFL, the contracts are very different than, say, in Major League Baseball or some other sports. They're definitely not an NIL deal like in college, where it's just, hey, here's the money. No matter what, you break your leg tomorrow, you can't play a down, you set the world on fire, this is what you're getting. That's what's going on in, say, Major League Baseball. Now, other sports, NBA has aprons and all different things right now, but you're still, it's different than the NFL. That's why players really only care about the guaranteed money, because NFL contracts basically mean nothing, whether it be from the franchise or the player perspective. If you have a 4-year deal and you immediately suck and your career's over early on, you'll get your guaranteed money, of course, but they're not, they're going to release you and then you're done for the rest of the deal. If you're a player like Cam Heyward now, of course, and you feel like you outplayed the deal, then you're going to keep wanting to rip it up. It could be a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal, a 5-year deal. You want to rip it up after one. You want to rip it up once, and then you want to rip it up again. And you want to get a deal, and then you want to get another deal. Not even a full year later, like, again, Cam Heyward's doing. Because you get the guaranteed money, and you want the guaranteed money, but, contracts in the NFL. That's how we're here. But that's my problem. Cam Heyward knew the system. And I think Cam Heyward thought he was playing the system. I think Cam Heyward thought he was, not a businessman, but a businessman. I think he thought he was going to get one over. He even admitted so recently. Cam Heyward literally, and I've been at camp, but I wasn't at camp this day, but I appreciate colleagues for the video because it was a gem. It was a doozy. And he basically said the quiet part out loud. He's great to interview. He's always been that. Said the quiet part out loud. Basically told us, this is paraphrasing, that when he signed the deal last offseason, when he, wanted a new deal, everything. Granted, he wasn't coming off the year he just is coming off of, but he wanted a new deal, felt he's better than the deal. He wanted to get closer to market value. At the time, he thought it'd be his last contract. Now he wants another one. At that time, he's basically telling us that when he signed that deal, he knew then, didn't like it. He knew right then. He knew in his mind, this is where he thought he was playing everybody. He knew in his mind, okay, I'm going to sign this deal now. I'm going to help the team. I'm going to agree to this deal now, but I'm going to outplay this deal. I'm going to quickly be better than this deal. I'm agreeing to this. I don't like it, and I'm going to be better than this deal very soon. And he had a great year coming up. He had a great year after that. He signed the deal and then had a great year. And then he told us that in February he went to the Steelers, and clearly nothing came of that because we're still here. But he went to the Steelers in February and told them, I'm already unhappy with the deal. I just had a great year. We flamed out in the postseason again, but I had a great year, and I'm unhappy already. Knowing that he was going to do that all season. But did he sign a one-year deal to do the Darrelle Revis? I'm going to just keep signing one-year deals because I know me. Is he in the NBA where he's LeBron James and he wants to sign a one-year deal or a two-year deal that has a player option in the second-year deal? He did that a lot throughout his career. LeBron James would sign two-year deals, second-year player option. It's really like a one-year deal, obviously. Did Cam Heyward sign a two-year deal with a player option? Is he in the NBA? Did he sign a one-year deal like Darrelle Revis and just flat out 1 year and then I'm a free agent again every year? Is that what he signed? No, he did not do that. Cam Heyward maybe wishes he did that right now. Cam Heyward did not do that. Cam Heyward signed a new deal, an extension for more years. Okay, he added years on. He signed a 2-year deal. No player option. This isn't the NBA again. He signed a 2-year deal. $29 million on an annual basis. Okay? He signed a multi-year deal. And that extended another deal. So Cam Heyward currently is signed through 2026. Not right now. He's not a free agent right now. He's 36 years old, by the way, for a slight correction. His birthday is in May. He'll be 37 at the end of the season, obviously coming up in the spring, but 36. Just turned 36. He's not young. Point remains. But he has a couple more years left on the deal. Just signed a deal 11 months ago. Did a little of this. Made it known he didn't like the deal. Did a little of this song and dance. He didn't drag this out to we're already playing preseason games. And they already dealt with TJ Watt and Aaron Rodgers is fine, but now you're going to start the drama. He didn't do that in a win now mode pressure cooker season where Tomlin needs a playoff win to really help his legacy. They're not going to fire him, but maybe there'll be mutual parting ways. All of that because they got to freaking win a playoff game and get off the snide from the drought. There's pressure now to do this now. This is an older team despite some younger pieces there. They did lose some in Najee Harris and George Pickens. And yet, this is the time. The leader of the team wants to do that, wants to rip up a deal that he just signed. And I get that there are Steeler fans that are going to defend him to no end. He's a great guy. So if there's going to be a guy you defend to no end, do it. There's been some players the Steeler fans would defend at no end. Originally, Antonio Brown. We saw how that went. We saw how that unraveled. Made people that defended him look ridiculous. There have been players the Steeler fans would just ride with no matter what. And that didn't work out. So if Cam Heyward is that guy for you, he's not going to get arrested. He's not going to be in the news for the wrong reasons. He's not going to make you embarrassed to wear that jersey or have your kid wear that jersey. He's going to be in the Steelers Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor. He might be in Canton someday, and if he's there, no matter what, he's going to be a Steeler. He's going to be a career Steeler, be a one-franchise guy. He's a great person in the community. He's great to have in Pittsburgh. He's going to keep on helping this community in Pittsburgh years after being retired. He's not going to go away and be gone for years. You're going to keep on hearing from him. He'll be in commercials. He'll keep doing his podcast. It's a good show. He's somebody that you can be proud of. All of that is true, and he's a great player. I think he's very underrated for the position for many years. If I had a vote, I would vote him in the Hall of Fame, and I got some votes, but not a Hall of Fame vote. But if I get there, I'm voting for him. I'll tell you that. I know many colleagues would. I think he's legit going to get in, and he's also going to get helped by being so popular and so well liked. I'm not saying first ballot. It's very hard as a log jam, but I think he has a chance at some point. He's very, very well liked. With that said, again, is this becoming of that leader right now? This is horrible timing to be doing this. And my problem would not be last year, say, if Cam Heyward said, I outplayed that deal, I think I'm a better player than that deal, whatever. I want a new deal. Happens all the time in the NFL, sure. And then held out and dragged it out and held out, held in, and just went along his business and did not agree to the deal that he clearly hates and just forced them to give him a better deal. Although it's almost impossible to do that in the NFL because every time you give someone a deal, then tomorrow another franchise offers the same player, similar value, $1 million more. This is the TJ Watt thing. That's why he got $1 million more than Myles Garrett. You have to trump him. That's continuously what goes on. And I understand I've covered enough sports in my years. I've talked to enough players, college and pro. I get it. A lot of the time you can be very happy with when we're talking about 30 million, 40 million, 100 million, whatever. You're set for life. I get it. So the average fan's going to say, what are we arguing about here? You're all set for life. Does it really matter to do this? You're getting the 29 million, for example, in a base salary. You had guaranteed money coming your way. But it's all about respect and market value. If you see Jones getting this number, this player getting this number, that player getting that number, and you're Cam Heyward and you're going to say, hey, I shouldn't be so far down the line in highest paid defensive lineman. I think he's 22nd. That is really bad. It wasn't where he was when he signed the deal initially, but it's where he is now. And I get that right there is how you're upset because players gauge respect and determine if they're being respected by the franchise they played for off how much money they're getting. And not even just how much, where they are in terms of market value. So the market matters. And Cam Heyward sees, okay, I'm outside the top 20 defensive linemen. I'm mad. I'm better than there's not 20 guys better than me. There's not 19. There's not 15, even at my age. He's not the best, but there might not even be 10. You can rank him wherever you want. His age is part of this. But the issue is for the franchise, which fans never think of, and it's not their money, so I get it. They just want their great player and favorite player on the field. I get that. But this is a salary cap sport, number one. Just gave a big mega deal to TJ Watt, and you kind of had to. Especially when you're still in win now mode. And even if Rodgers retires, you go get that quarterback in the draft when it's in Pittsburgh. But it's a salary cap sport. This dude's 36. He'll be 37 next year. Maybe we'll be doing this again with him next year. We do it every year, apparently. He thinks everything's a one-year deal, even when it's not. He didn't sign a one-year deal, but he acts like it's a one-year. 2-year deal is a one-year deal to him. He thinks he's in the NBA. There's no player option here, but hey, you're Cam Heyward. You want to rip it up. So then they're going to be paying 2 defensive players over 30. TJ Watt never won a playoff game. Cam Heyward came back, back in the day. But these guys did not produce a great tenure of playoff success together. TJ Watt has literally not won a playoff game and has this mega deal. He's a great player. He's a future Hall of Famer, 100%. But you got to look at it from the franchise perspective. What are they paying for? They need to pay to win, number one. And paying to win has resulted in a lack of playoff success in about a decade, in 9 years. Having these great players. They've had great players. Yeah, they've had a quarterback problem, but they've had great players. And now paying TJ Watt without a playoff win. What if he retires without a playoff win his whole career and all that money you paid him? Is that successful? Same thing Cam Heyward now. What are you going to get out of the rest of the Cam Heyward deal? Say Cam Heyward plays another 3 years. What do those 3 years look like? How many games does he play in those 3 years? Because you got to pay. I understand you got to respect the player, and that's part of what they think. You need to respect the player. He's a Hall of Fame player. Certainly Hall of Fame for you if you don't think he's going to Canton for whatever reason. I think he's a Hall of Fame player. You got to pay a little bit for the past. That's just pro sports. But you also got to pay for the future. Okay? And Cam Heyward did play 17 games this past season. He did. At 71 tackles, again, that's a great year for him. However, he had 74 in 2022. He had 89 in 2021. His 71 in his Renaissance year is not better than what he did when he played all those games years ago. And granted, he was younger, but still. In 2023, though, he only played 11 games, only 33 tackles. 2020, he only played 15 games, 15 in 2017, 7 in 2016. Players get hurt, I get it. But Cam Heyward's played 211 games, and he's missed a bunch as well. And there are some years he's played a lot more games than people give him credit for. And when he's there, he's a productive player for sure. He did have 8 sacks last year as well. Only 2 the year before, 10.5 the year before that, and 10 the year before that. So over 20 in back-to-back years with 89 and 74 overall tackles. Those are 2 great seasons. Here's, again, the problem. And I know money fluctuates and market value fluctuates in the NFL. 11 months ago, he signed a new deal knowing how great he was in 2021 and 2022 and how much he was injured in 2023 and couldn't be really productive. Back then, less than a year ago, he signed a new deal. He signed an extension knowing his resume, knowing what he did in the years prior. He didn't sign a 1-year deal. He didn't have any NBA player option. He wanted security because he knew he's getting older. How many games will he play? Maybe he'll get worse. Maybe there's a decline there. Maybe his best year is worse than what it was 3 or 4 years ago as his best. So he didn't want to mess with things. He liked at the time setting records in a deal. Didn't know the market. Maybe it played him a little bit. And maybe he thought, oh, I'm just Cam Heyward, kind of God here. I'm going to force the Rooney's hand. The fans will always defend me as they kind of are here. Although I have seen a lot of people realize what's going on. Again, he was a great player. He still is a great player. He's coming off a great year. But he came off of mostly great production and signed a deal. And now he doesn't like it already. He doesn't like it because of the rest of the market, but the market always changes. You cannot change that. And you can't do this with him every year as he gets into his late 30s, knowing he can miss games, knowing it's unlikely he's as good as he was 3 or 4 years ago when his best year is still not what that season was. At some point, you got to call it and say, Cam, we're going to appreciate you all we can do, man. We'll offer you something here, but setting a record again. Getting back to where you want to be. $40 million a year for you at your age seems wild. Seems wild. And that's just a number. I'm not saying he's getting that. And he's going to get his money too. I mean, that's the thing too. As much as I'm doing this show and doing this mic drop, again, mic drop, by the way, should say this, mic drop, by the way, powered by the Believe Network, available everywhere you get your podcasts and also on Sirius XM. He's going to get the deal. TJ knew this. He knows this. They know this. The Rooneys don't like having a Hall of Fame, not just a star, but a player they know they want to induct someday in the Ring of Honor. They're both getting in someday. They're both going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, likely. TJ certainly. Cam Heyward, I think, is getting in. And the Steelers want to have good relationships with those guys. This isn't Antonio Brown, who they, just got too wild. They believe these guys are good guys, productive players, good stewards of the franchise for decades after they leave. They know they won't win a popularity contest against these players right now, certainly when it's been so long for them to win a playoff game. I think a lot of fans are kind of upset with the Steelers' way and Rooney and Tomlin right now. So they're going to potentially side with these players, even though they didn't win playoff games and the players were the ones on the field. But again, it's team sport. They're great players. But they're going to get their deal. They have the space. They're going to make it happen. I'm not saying he's going to break the bank or set a record again. I don't think he'll be number 1 paid defensive lineman. That would be insane. But they're going to give him a decent deal. He's going to get his deal, and we will forget about this after he gets his deal, just like no one's talking about TJ Watt now. And no one's going to talk about TJ Watt in 2 months once the season gets started. He gets a sack, they win some games, or he doesn't and they lose, whatever. Everyone knew he kind of was always going to get that deal once the tea leaves dropped, that they were obviously in win now mode and not trying to rebuild as they never want to do. But Cam Heyward knows he's going to get this deal. He's going to eventually get this deal. He's going to get some deal that'll be better than what he has now. That hopefully then will be his last deal, but he could easily do this again next year. How do you trust he doesn't? He's already been doing it every year. Problem is, again, he signed a deal last year knowing he hated it. Shouldn't do that, Cam. Don't do that in any walk of life. If you hate a deal, don't sign it. He took a deal that he hated because the year prior he was injured a lot and thought that was the best he can do. And at the time, the market value said that was even a better deal than it would be now. And he had prior years that were great, so he could have just argued to the Steelers, if I'm healthy, these are my numbers, I should get this many dollars. Instead, he took the risk because he was hurt the prior year and just took whatever when he hated it and said, I'm just going to do the Darrelle Revis thing, the LeBron thing, and play out the deal and then, option out, I guess, which doesn't exist for him. And he'll rip it up and give me a new one. I'm Cam Heyward. And I'm sure they're going to eventually do it. I'm sure they're eventually going to do it. We're ahead of the second preseason game now as I'm recording this show for anyone listening after the fact. And I hope you do. Hope you always digest this archive because it's always going to, these opinions are evergreen, even if we're in front of Cam Heyward, definitely going to get this deal soon, and then the news will be dead. And I do think everyone will eventually stop talking about it once he gets the deal, just like TJ. But this is ridiculous. I wouldn't have thought this from Cam Heyward. This is just ridiculous. He got played. This is not Darrelle Revis. This is not the NBA. He didn't, if he wanted to get a 1-year deal because he thought, okay, I'm off an injury-plagued season, I'll take a 1-year deal. I'll show them I'm back to who I was 2 years ago when healthy. Then I'll get a new deal. Great. Yeah, maybe then he'll go to another team, but I highly doubt it. He likes the Steelers, but great. The Steelers then will be forced to give him more money and pay him market value, and then I would 100% be on his side. It's just case-by-case basis here. I'm not just always player or always team. Nobody should be. I know a lot of people are one way or another, no matter what. But he signed a multi-year extension to ride him out until 2026. We're in 2025, 11 months after agreeing to that deal, which at the time was better market value than it is now. Obviously, that's always going to change year to year. And now he wants it ripped up again. So in closing, I think the Steelers should stick to their guns. They shouldn't break any records with a new deal. I know they're going to give him something new. I know they're going to give him a lot of money. I know he's probably going to like it and win this little spat with the Steelers. But I wouldn't mind the Steelers holding ground here and saying, no, Cam, play on this deal. You just agreed to it. Yeah, you're better than the 20th defensive lineman. I agree. You are better than that. But you agreed to a deal. Market value always changes. You could easily get hurt like you did a year earlier. You are an older player. You're comparing yourself to players who are younger, who are likely going to have more years and more games in front of them. Sorry. Don't agree to a deal. Let it be a lesson. That's the summary here. Let it be a lesson. Anybody in any walk of life, certainly in the NFL, certainly to NFL players. Don't agree to a deal that you hate and then say, hey, I'm just going to outplay this and I'm going to force their hand to rip it up. They just did that a year ago, as they should have then, probably. When he's healthy, he's a certain level, and he was just hurt. But he took security because he was just hurt. And now, coming off a great season again, he wants to go back and I think he regrets taking that deal then. But don't take a deal you hate. Don't agree to something you hate and say, I'm just going to fix it later. That's no guarantee. So I wouldn't mind if the Steelers hold ground here. If you're ever going to hold ground, even though he's a great player and he's a great person, this is the situation. We don't just rip up deals year to year. You agree to a deal, you stick to the deal. And I know, maybe you're outplay it, but he would expect the Steelers he would be mad if the Steelers just cut him and they probably wouldn't give him. But if somebody didn't get his guaranteed money or they try to take any other money, he'd be mad about that if after he got hurt. Then he lost some money. Point of it is he didn't like the deal. He wanted to outplay it. He thought he was playing the system, and I think the system played him a little bit. He's going to end up winning this and getting his money. But I think Cam Heyward looks a little ridiculous here, and I'm glad some fans are seeing this. He tried to play the system, and it doesn't sit well with me how this is going down. I get market value. I get where he sits market value. I get his numbers. I like the guy. But he just agreed to a deal 11 months ago, wants to rip it up because market value changes, and then admits he was always planning on doing that. Him admitting that pisses me off the most because he admits he was planning on doing this. That, if I'm the Steelers, would piss me off the most, would agitate me the most, and would make me drag this on or not do it at all. Again, mic drop here made possible by the Believe Network, available everywhere you get your podcasts and on SiriusXM. So Cam Heyward's going to get his money. He's going to win another battle with the Steelers. He will win this. He will get his money, but I don't think he should. I think he gambled, bet on himself in a weird way that's not really betting on yourself when you don't have a one-year deal and you don't do that. He wanted security, knowing he was just hurt. And then he wanted to rip it up and told us the quiet part out loud. That was always his plan. There's a little egg on Cam Heyward's face right now. This isn't becoming from someone who's going to be the leader of a team in a win-now pressure cooker season, who is the nicest guy around and great in the community. Is this a lesson you want to teach anybody? Is this Cam Heyward providing that example? I don't think so. So again, Cam Heyward, great player, great person. Throw that caveat out there. I think he's getting played. I think he's going to likely win this, but I don't think Cam Heyward looks great in this situation. Not at all.